Hey, yeah, you know what, a big bad black sheep, hot a fire, not a pretender or liar. And it's another reasoning. So, this topic is about spirituality, yeah, and I have some pointers. So I hope that you tune in long enough to see if anything is insightful to you. Now, I would love for you to keep in mind the word forgive, you know, while, I prolong. So, I hope that you're good. Otherwise, due to all that's happening, yeah. And even with the threatening of war and the exposure of the Epstein files, I've spoken about the male ego, and this is just what it do. These are the things that it does, especially when it's threatened, or being broken down. Now, this topic is important, yeah, because many people don't realize that religion was created by males for males, because they need the fear of God inside of them to do the right thing, especially. You see? And it's one of the reasons why it's corrupted with so much dogma, yeah, confusion, power struggle. So, I've made a reference about the movie Blink Twice, and it is a great example of spiritual warfare and psychological warfare, and even an example of what happens on the Epstein Island, because a group of people were invited to this island by this super rich billionaire, but they don't know that they were there before, and they were being experimented on, but for this drug that makes you forget, the things that happened to you, yeah. And I said the word forgive. Just keep that in mind. In that movie, the guy, the lead actor, right, in one of the scenes he was saying that, like, forgiveness is not real, because in a case where this man had betrayed his family and he was still partners with him, and his sister was asking him how could he do that, and he was like, what did he do, So in his perspective, he's saying that people don't really forgive, they forget, And to elaborate on that word, the meaning, forgive, it means to stop feeling anger, resentment, or the desire to punish someone for an offense, mistake, or fault. It is a conscious decision to let go of negative feelings and in some cases absolve a debt or obligation. It signifies releasing a burden and freeing oneself from bitterness. Now, I've talked about my experience, during the last 2 to 3 years, with not just some of the people in the music industry, but with the Rastafari, and I come from a Christian household, so, and I tried the church, but I see too much, and I feel too much. So when I converted to Rastafari, I realized that there's no difference, and in some cases a lot worse, but people hide things well, right? They do. And when you have a certain level of intelligence, right, to know right from wrong, it's like you carry a light, and that light sheds, it sheds on the dark, and what is in the dark shall, be revealed. So it's not like, I don't think some people don't feel bad about the things that they do. They just feel bad that they got caught, or they're being seen. You see, and so it's crazy the lengths they would go just not to be seen, you see, or to face the consequences. No, in the movie Blink Twice, one of the lead actor asks one of the other actresses what she would do after she leaves the island, and she was saying that she's going to start this movement to teach girls about the dangers of the world and how to defend and protect themselves. And that was after because when they take the drug and they forget, as soon as they get a snake bite, they start to remember everything, a snake bite. And that can be in, and for I would say, what you call it, a symbolism, yeah, for a Kundalini awakening, you know, because the snake represents that, you know. So they awaken to what is really happening on the island and what is being done to them. So some people would want you to forget, and yeah, forgiveness is for you, you know, but I do believe that people should face the consequence, yeah, respect, for their actions, you know. So I'm gonna get into the term spirituality and what it means, and then I will get into some pointers. So the term spirituality originates from the late 14th century, derived from the Anglo-French word spiritualite and the late Latin spiritualitatem, coming from the Latin spiritualis. The earliest known use is traced back to the Middle English period, 1150 to the 1500s. The root spiritus or spiritus in Latin means breath, soul, or spirit, further emphasizing the connection to the essence of life and existence. Now, I don't like people because of the things that they do to other people, but I love humanity, you know. I would want to see people change to the better, you know. And I am an example of that, you know. I'm not perfect, but the least I can be is kind, you know, because people already have got through so much, and you never know, you know. So I feel, you know, because even when I was fresh out of the ego death, I could feel that connection strongly, that oneness with everything and everyone, you know. And that makes me, because I feel love, you know, and that was a blissful feeling, you know, a peaceful feeling. And I have some pointers, so that will give more emphasis on what I'm saying now, right? So yeah, men have no real connection to life. And even with the exposure of the Epstein files, I've made a reference about this author in one of my videos. Now, when I read books, I use it as a signpost to understand, you know, more about myself, what I think, and how I see the world, you know. So I don't idolize people, And I don't wish to be idolized either. Trust me. I swear too much to want that. But this author show up in the Epstein files, and the artist, the singer Garnet Silk, made a song that says a man is just a man. And in emphasis to that, anywhere, like no matter how high up a man goes, he's going to always be himself. Yeah. Because these men see sleeping with younger women as a fantasy. It's their fantasy. You know, children, sleeping with children. It's their fantasy. It's very dark, you know. And even when I hear a lot of these males talk about King Solomon, they don't admire the wisdom and the knowledge that he was endowed with. It's just the lifestyle. Most of them just want to live in reference to him having many women, you know, having access to many women. And that's mostly what they would want for themselves. Not the knowledge, the wisdom, you know, and the awareness, but access to females. So yeah, woman, a nation can go no higher than its woman, you know. And in this Western society, they don't talk about women like Empress Menen, like mainstreamly. And Zadi Zuditu, you know, maybe I'm wrong about her name. Let me see. Empress. But these women were leaders, you know, and a lot of people don't even know that them being in such positions, they had to be androgynous. Empress Zudi too, yeah. You know, especially Empress Menen, you know. Them being in the Empress position, they took on an androgynous role, you know. And it's not about a look, it's just an embodiment of both principles, masculine and feminine. You see? But let me get into the pointers. So yeah, the first pointer is this: spirituality is a sacred and personal journey which inspires more stillness and silence with your inner and outer reality. Isolation is inevitable in the discovery process of your true essence, clearing space for what you already are. Now, in my video intuition, I asked, who are you without anything? You see? Because though I'm accumulating possessions, right? And that's what I see them as, possessions. I don't attach myself to it, but anything that I possess, you know, I take care of. And because, you know, I take care of me, and it might sound vague in a way, but you know, if you thrive to have a certain regulation over your own well-being, yeah, it will eventually be projected onto your reality, you know. And I've had my times, because even, you know, I'm kind of building up, you know, more momentum with this coming spring equinox, yeah. So, and I just go with the flow of the seasons, yeah. I can't really function with the norms of society, you know, I'm not gonna lie, you know. And being on my spiritual journey allows me to accept that, and not to burn myself out, you know, because of shallow desires, you know. And I don't, because I've been working on this new skill lately, you know. In due time, you know, me go public with it, but yeah, if I'm not working on this, I'm working on something else. And it's all coming from within, you know. It's not something that someone is telling me to do. Is strictly from within, you know. Yeah, and my connection, yeah, to the divine. So, and I had to just get rid of the outside noise, and even to change certain mindset of mine as well, yeah. Certain beliefs, I question them to see if they're even mine to begin with, and a lot of it isn't, you see. Now, back to the word forgive. Though so many things had happened between, you know, me and the people that I talk about on platform, I don't feel the desire to do anything to them, you know, otherwise from to just speak my truth. Yeah. But otherwise from that, I have a deeper understanding that whatever you do, you know, you have to take account for that. So I know what I did and my hands are clean. And I wasn't always like this. Me being on my spiritual journey, right? It has groomed me, the parts of me that need refinement, and it's not complete, you know, but I am satisfied within myself, you know, with who I am and what I look forward to. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to do a part 2 because I'm like 27 minutes in. So, yeah. I'll see you over there.